commander of Russia's Navy was killed in Kursk. And there's been a big scandal in the Defense Department with a general who's sentenced now to 13 years on charges of corruption. Some things that aren't so favorable to what's going on in Russia.
What, if anything, emerged from Donald Trump's sixth phone call with Vladimir Putin? Because this is something that people find really intriguing. Why is he having so many calls? And why doesn't anything appear to be changing? Now, the Kremlin's readout is interesting. It said the Russian leader told the US president that he, quotes, wouldn't back down from achieving Moscow's aims in Ukraine, while President Trump, again, it says here, raised the issue of an early end to military action. So what to deduce from this? That call, sixth this year. Let's speak to Amy Knight, Russia expert and author of The Kremlin's Noose, Putin's bitter feud with the oligarch who made him ruler of Russia. Amy, hello.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, what do you make of the readout of that call? What do you read into it?
Well, it's interesting, we got the Kremlin version from Yuri Yushakov, and the way he portrayed it, it was, fairly detailed. Trump and Putin had a nice long conversation, and Putin wished him a happy 4th of July, and they talked about the big, beautiful bill and Iran and Syria, and then they sort of brought up Ukraine. So it's not, top priority. That's the Kremlin version. But then I just saw President Trump speaking very briefly about it in passing. Somebody asked him, and he just said, basically, yeah, well, we're not making any headway, and, it's too bad, but this conflict isn't going to end. And he sort of said his usual thing, not really blaming the Kremlin or Putin, but kind of saying, it's like what he said about two children squabbling. He's kind of backing off and shaking his hands. And this is not unexpected. This has been going on now for a number of months. Like, pretend you want peace, and then, we've done everything we can, and that's it.
Right. And not so long ago, Trump said Vladimir Putin was absolutely crazy. And he said he was needlessly killing a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about soldiers. He said he was not happy about it. And as the young people say, where's all that energy when he has these phone calls with him? It's all very well saying on Truth Social, but he appears to roll back and pull his punches completely whenever he speaks to them.
Yes, well, I think he kind of throws that out when things get really bad, and, like there's been a horrible Russian attack on Kiev or something, and Trump says, this isn't making me happy. But basically, it's pretty much a policy of appeasement towards Putin. And it's interesting because right now, there was a huge drone attack by the Ukrainians on Russian Air Force bases, and they destroyed a lot of planes. It was pretty devastating just a couple of days ago. I think it was the deputy head of the commander of Russia's Navy was killed in Kursk. And there's been a big scandal in the Defense Department with a general who's sentenced now to 13 years on charges of corruption. Some things that aren't so favorable to what's going on in Russia. And one would think that if you wanted to end this conflict, this would be the time to say to Putin, look, we're going to give more ammunition to Ukraine. If you don't do something about this, then we're going to give more ammunition, and it's going to be an even worse fight. But for some reason, Trump just is not prepared to do that. And as you know, he recently said that we're not going to deliver the Patriot missiles that Ukraine really needs to fight Russia's air attacks. And now, Trump seems to be wavering a little bit on economic sanctions. So even though this would be a really, really good time for him to lay down the law, instead, he listened to Putin today say, and Putin said, this statement that he's used before, we're standing tough because we want to get rid of the underlying causes of the whole conflict, which is basically the existence of Ukraine as a state
Right.
and their association with NATO. So, yeah, I honestly, I think there are other people who agree to me. I think somehow that Trump is in Putin's pocket.
Well, this is the thing, Amy. People have said this time and again, and every so often he tries to disabuse of this notion by attacking Putin on Truth Social and sometimes in the press gaggle. But as soon as he's put the phone down on a big, beautiful call with Putin, surely there's somebody around him in the White House who's saying, Mr. President, the Russian leader is clearly not interested. If you want your Nobel Peace Prize, you're going to have to do something else. Because if this war carries on and they continue to kill hundreds, if not thousands of people in Ukraine every month, then there's no way you're going to get that Nobel Peace Prize. If you're a peacemaker, you need to show it.
Yes, but the only way that Russia has made their red lines very clear. And the only way that he can get the Nobel Peace Prize is about really seriously arming Ukraine. The only way Russia is going to stop. And Trump is not prepared to do that. And believe me, I'm sure that I know that there are members, Republicans in Congress, who don't want to give up on Ukraine. But somehow they're all too scared to say anything.
Yeah, indeed they are. Amy, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Times Radio. Amy Knight is a Russia expert and author of The Kremlin's Noose, Putin's Bitter Feud with the Oligarch Who Made Him Ruler of Russia.
For Russia and Ukraine, are you speaking to Zelensky tomorrow, and what are you hoping
I'm
the next?
I'm speaking to President Zelensky tomorrow, early in the morning, and I'm very disappointed with the conversation I had today with President Putin, because I don't think he's there. And I'm very disappointed. Well, it's not. I'm just saying, I don't think he's looking to stop, and that's too bad. This is Biden. This isn't me. This is Biden's war. It wouldn't have happened if I were president. It wouldn't have happened. So, I in one way I hate to get too involved because it's Biden's war. And I got stuck in the middle of it, just like I did with immigration and a lot of other things that they screwed up. But I was not happy with the conversation, no. We had a call. It was a pretty long call. We talked about a lot of things, including Iran. And we also talked about, as you know, the war with Ukraine. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. No, I didn't make any progress with him today at all. Well, we're going to see. Steve is a great guy. He's a great negotiator. Iran does want to speak, and I think they'd like to speak to me. And it's time that they do. We're not looking to hurt them. We're looking to let them be a country again. They got beat up, and they were both exhausted, frankly. But Iran really got beat up, and I think they want to meet. I mean, I know they want to meet, and if it's necessary, I'll do it. But Steve is involved and very much involved, and he's done a fantastic job. All right, one more.